Okay, so I have just got the one colour for this because we're only using one colour with the Jacquard Mosaic, and I have started with 22 chains, so that's what it says for the tutorial. Basically you can make this pattern any width you like, and you just need to start with a multiple of 6 plus 3 stitches. Okay, so I've got 22. There's the extra one which becomes the turning chain to start with, so I will end up with 21 stitches. Okay, so this one starts basically just like any other overlay design, where we're going to be working a row of double crochets, and you can just work it into this sort of loop of the chain if you like. I just got into the habit of working into the back bump, and if you've done my normal overlay mosaic tutorial, you'll see that I actually, for that one, you need to go into the back bump. So it's just a habit I've got into, so I'm going to carry on working there. So it is just a case, one double crochet in each chain. So do that across. When you get to the end, don't fasten off, and I'll tell you what we do next. Okay, so I've now got 20 double crochets here, so it's just time to pop the last one just in that. If you notice that initial sort of knot I keep quite loose, so I can make my last chain, my last double crochet into it, and then I just pull it tight there. Okay, so what we do with Jacquard Mosaic, as I said, we don't cut off at the end of each row. We're gonna, as we're only going to be using one colour anyway, we are gonna make life easy for us and ourselves, and avoid all those loose ends by turning and working a return row on the back. So to do that, I'm actually going to put 2 turning chains. Now they still don't count as a stitch. The reason for the extra one is just to make this edge nice and neat and tidy, so you shouldn't actually need a border at all, unless of course you want to, but it won't desperately need it. So 2 turning chains, which again don't count as a stitch. So remember, this is the stitch we're going to be working into on the next row. If you struggle to find it, you can pop a marker in there. So I'm just going to turn. There we go. So as I said, it's there. So we are going to pop a normal double crochet through both loops in that first stitch. Now basically every single wrong side row is going to be the same. All you do, so you start with that double crochet through both loops, and for the rest of the row it is just working a double crochet into that front loop. So what this is going to do is basically, this is it's the front loop as we're looking at it now, but when we turn it around, oh, and again, make sure you don't do what I just did there. You need to make sure it is literally just this loop that you work into. Okay, so just that front loop. So I'm going to go along like that. I'll just flip it over and show you what that does on the right side. So what that's now done has created basically some front loops for us to use to make the pattern on the way back. Okay, so the wrong side rows with Jacquard Mosaic are just double crochets into that front loop all the way along until you get to the very last stitch, and that will just be an ordinary double crochet again, just to sort of tidy up the edges. Okay, so I've now got almost to the end of row 2, and I'm just going to pop, so they've all of these double crochets have been through the front loops only. I'm just going to pop a normal double crochet through both loops in that last stitch. Okay, and now we remember to do 2 turning chains, turn around. So this is now, we're back on the right side again, so you can see what we've done by working into the front loops on the wrong side. We've actually left front loops that we can work our overlay mosaic into. So that's one thing that's different about Jacquard Mosaic. The other thing that's different is when we're working on the right side, the double crochets are actually going to be worked, all of them will be through both loops. So there's no back loop only double crochets on the right side. So it's all going to be through both loops, and then we'll be dropping down our trebles into these unused loops from the row below when we want to make the pattern. Okay, so it starts, the pattern, before the repeat starts, we're going to need to do 2 double crochets. And started there, 2 double crochets, as I said, always through both loops. So the repeat now, nice and simple, is just a case of 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, then a front loop treble, 2 rows down. So that is just like ordinary overlay mosaic crochet, and then I'll repeat ends with 3 double crochets. So that's what you're going to do along. So we've got ending with 3 double crochets, and then we start the next repeat with 2 more double crochets. So again, remember, on the right side rows of Jacquard Mosaic, it's always through both loops. So what we've now got is a run of 5 double crochets, and I'm just going to pop my treble down there again. So that is how you create the textured pattern in Jacquard Mosaic. Okay, so 3, then we start the next repeat with 2 double crochets, and we've got 1 treble 2 rows down into that front loop, and then we end the repeat with 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and that should then just leave you with 1 more stitch at the end of the row, which will always be a double crochet. Okay, so hopefully you can see the pattern starting to take shape. That'll look a little bit more obvious as we do a bit more of it, and also it depends on the direction that the light is coming from, so I don't know if it looks clearer or less clear if I twist it. Anyway, so we've now done row 3, so again, row 4, we've got a turn, so it's 2 turning chains, turn, and then as we did on row 2, we start with a double crochet through both loops, and then we're just going to go all the way along, taking care that we only pick up that front loop. So we do our double crochets into that front loop right up until we get to the last stitch, and then that very last one will be through both loops. Okay, so I've just now done row 4 on the wrong side. I've done my 2 turning chains, and I'm now ready to start row 5. So that again, as always, is going to start with a double crochet through both loops, and remember that always all of the double crochets on the right side rows are always through both loops with this method. So we actually now need 2 double crochets there, and now the repeat on this one is another nice simple one. We're actually going to do 2 front loop trebles, 2 rows down, 1, 2, then we've got, make sure you've missed two stitches behind those 2 that you've just done, 1 double crochet through both loops, and then 2 front loop trebles. So that's basically what we're doing all the way along. 2 front loop trebles, 2 rows down, 1 double crochet. So just repeat that all the way along. Until you get to the last stitch, which will be another double crochet. So hopefully you can start to see the texture a little bit better now we've done a few more stitches in it. Okay, so that is row 5 done. So again, it's exactly the same as we always do on the return row. So we've got 2 turning chains, 1 double crochet through both loops, and then a row of double crochets into those front loops only. Okay, so just do that, and I'll be back again. And actually what we've done, when we've done this, that is the whole pattern done, because we're just now going to be repeating rows 3 to 6. So I'll see you just to go through how we start that again. Okay, so that is all of the rows of our pattern repeat done now. So all we're now going to be doing is repeating rows 3, 4, 5 and 6 till we get to the required height. So we start, I'll just do row 3 once more with you. So obviously that now starts, we started with our 2 double crochets before the main repeat, and then it's just another 2, 1, 2, and a front loop treble. So what we're doing is now, all we're doing is popping another treble in there to mirror the one we did at the bottom. So we end each repeat with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and we start again with 2 more. So that's 5 double crochets in a row, and then 1 treble which goes just in between those there. So we're making a kind of chain idea. Okay, so that is your row 3. So you're just going to repeat that, and then rows 4, 5 and 6 as well. Just keep repeating those 4 rows until you've got to the required height. 2, 3, 4. And that is how you do Jacquard Mosaic Crochet. And hopefully you can see why I call it Jacquard Mosaic, because it gives that sort of effect. If you, I mean, back in the 80s when I used to go out, when I first started going out clubbing, there was a lot of lace and a lot of jacquard sort of satiny fabrics with that sort of subtle design. So it's not about colour, it's all the same colour, but it was all the jacquard looms, just if you're not aware, just like create a sort of subtly textured pattern. They say, but it's all in one colour, it just depends on how it's woven. And I just thought when you do this all in one colour, it gives that same effect, which is why I'm calling it Jacquard Mosaic. And hopefully you can also see why I do the 2 chains, turning chains. So that keeps those edges quite nice and neat, and you wouldn't need to put a border on it if you don't want to. And it also, it's not completely flat, but it doesn't curl nearly as badly as ordinary overlay mosaic either. If you notice, it's just lifting up ever so slightly there, but it's much flatter. It's a lot easier just to give it a gentle blocking and then just leave it as it is. So if you're a person that doesn't like doing borders, then hopefully you'll like this method.